In this video, I want to share with you our homeschool Montessori shelf that we have set up for my almost 3-year-old and my almost 5-year-old. And I want to share with you some of the activities that we have, as well as some of the activities that we do in our day-to-day that does not require any shelf work. So that hopefully you will get some ideas on what you can also do with your kids if you have them at home through homeschooling, or just as weekend activities that you can do with your kids. So let's get started. So the first thing that I have here are the sandpaper numbers, and as the name says, the numbers are written in sandpaper so that the child can use their fingers to feel how that number is written. As they go through it with their fingers, they will say the name of the number so that they will remember how the number is written and what the name of the number is. Right next to this here, I have some sandpaper letters, and what this is are letters that, just like the sandpaper numbers, the child can feel the letter and start learning how to write the letter, but also we go through the letter sounds. In Montessori, we really want to focus on the sound instead of the letter names. I'm going to link down below a video that really goes deep into this and how you can introduce it at home. Right here, I have our geography section from our shelf, and what I have is our continent puzzle so that our kids can begin to familiarize themselves with where the continents are and what the names of the continents. I also have this beautiful children's illustrated atlas that we use as a continuation on the continents and the countries that are in those continents. And what I love about this book is that it's illustrated. It has a lot of photos about each place, each country, and so it really helps us go deep into different countries around the world. So that is a beautiful book that I have loved since I got it. The next thing that I have here is a Melissa and Dog activity in which the child will begin to look for the letters and put the letters into the puzzle. And as you can see, it's double-sided. And so what we do is that we find the letter and we start using it with the letter sounds, and how is showing how those letter sounds are put together to make a word. Right next to this activity, what I have is a puzzle for my son. He is really into puzzles right now, so I try to make sure that I always have a puzzle available for him on our shelf. The next thing that I have here at the bottom are these career figurines. So they're different people and different careers, and it helps us talk about the names of those careers, what they do for our society, how they work together, and what are some different jobs that people have in our community. Right here on our shelf, this is our little practical life section of our shelf, and this one in particular is our button frame, and so it basically helps teach our kids how to button and unbutton something, so that once they master that, they can go ahead and button and unbutton their own clothes. And right next to our button frame, I have these little towels that I have actually stitched, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how these work. So the reason I stitched these lines is so that the child will know where they have to fold. It's kind of like a guided way to learn how to fold. So as you can see, you fold on the line. So the child will have these guides to learn how to fold the clothes neatly, and you can do this in different shapes. You can do this as a square, as a rectangle, or as a triangle, depending on the lines that you put on the towel. Aside from our shelf, we also have toys and open-ended toys. This isn't just what our kids have to do all day. I have shared a list of another video of my favorite open-ended minimalist toys. So I am going to leave that up here so you can check that out and see what our kids do. This isn't just what we do all day. They do play with toys. They do have time to imagine and play and do other things. But I also just want to share with you other activities that we do that don't require any toys or any shelves or anything like that. So one of the things that we do have in our home that our kids spend a lot of time doing is some type of art activity. And this is not I don't go through Pinterest or any blogs or Instagram of activities, like educational activities that we can do with our kids. I do feel like a lot of that stuff requires a lot of little pieces, little craft things that they just don't go with our minimalist lifestyle. And I do think that as the parent, you end up doing a lot of those activities more than the kids actually want to do it. So for as far as art for our family, this is more about allowing your child to just create with very minimal things, and I'm gonna share with you what that is. So one of our main things that we do with our kids is Play-Doh. They love creating clay, like little Play-Doh figures. We have a little wooden set that I'm gonna go ahead and link below so you can check that out, of just stamps and cuts and rollers and things that we have so that our kids can get creative with Play-Doh. We actually like to make our own Play-Doh, which I will actually leave the instructions of how we make our Play-Doh right down below. But Play-Doh is a big activity that we do with both of our kids. It really helps strengthen those fingers for writing. It really helps with creativity and creation, colors, sensory activities. It's a great, very simple activity that you can do with your kids. Another thing that we have is also colors, scissors, glue, and paper. And with that, we also have art time, and the kids can draw, create, cut, paste. Sometimes I do have like things that we make. Like one time we did, we're talking about tigers, so we tried to make a tiger with just cutting different types of construction paper and creating that together. But a lot of the time it's just open-ended creativity. Another thing that we have are paints, and I like to have watercolors. I find that those keep the mess pretty contained. If we're indoors, if we're outdoors, then we have a little bit more activities with more different types of paint, acrylic paints and other messier paints. But inside, I really like to do watercolors with them, and that's another way that you can introduce art and do activities with your kids and allow them to paint either something that you have planned or just anything that they would like to create. The other thing that we spend a lot of time doing is just going outdoors. And I know that through this whole pandemic, that was really difficult to do at some point. We still live in a state, we're in Florida, so our COVID cases are really high right now. So that's something that we have to be very careful about, where we go and where we can actually go. Before COVID, we loved going to the library, we loved going to museums, we loved going to farms. Anywhere that I could find that was like a little field trip that we could go on, that's what we would do. At the moment right now, we are just going outside on walks around our neighborhood, have playtime in our backyard. We have a little mini pool that we have that we play with. We also got our kids some skates, and I really like to go around and skate for exercise, so they wanted to have their own little skates. So just in our backyard, we just put on our skates and they can skate in the backyard. So anything that means going outside, exploring nature, going on walks, all that stuff is things that fill up our days and allow us to do things that we can also be learning. We can be counting numbers, we can be look at the trees that are outside, the animals that are outside, the bugs that are outside, all of these things that provide learning opportunities without you needing any money, any materials, anything at all. And that is a big part of our homeschool too. And I feel like that's something that doesn't require buying anything or having any materials or anything like that, that you can also do with your family. The other thing that I do have is just that we have a lot of printable activities that I've accumulated just throughout our homeschool time, that it does allow us to do a little bit more of a structured time with our oldest daughter. We are working on writing and early reading, and so I do have printables and activities that I do have for her that I don't have available on the shelf, that I take out as we need. And the reason for that is that a lot of those activities are a little bit too difficult for my 2-year-old to complete. So I do have that completely separated, and I take it out as we need. The other thing that I want you to know about our shelf is that I do have other activities that I rotate about every 2 to 3 weeks. If you want to know a little bit more about our shelf and our activities, our daily activities, I highly recommend that you check out my Instagram. That is where I share a lot of what we're doing at the moment, what are the activities that I rotate. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that here so that you can check out my Instagram and follow me. I do talk a lot more about Montessori on my Instagram, and always keeping things in the minimalist realm. That's a big part of who I am, and obviously a big part of my YouTube. So just make sure that if you want to know a little bit more and more in depth about what other activities I rotate, what more activities I have for my kids, then just make sure you go check out my Instagram. Because we are homeschooling in the preschool years, there's also a lot of play that happens in between, and a lot of play that just naturally happens with our kids, and that also fills up our day a lot. So that is a look into our minimalist homeschool Montessori shelf, and some of the activities that we have. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.